During the meeting this morning, didn't really have the chance to engage with John, but the Lord told me he actually had a vision. One of the reasons he wanted me to invite me to treat me a foe is because he wanted to share the vision with me. The Lord told me. Is that amazing? So, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's a 111.
It was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It had some similarities to some of the things that Noah saw. It was a structure, and the structure obviously had a very firm foundation.
Oh, wow.
And then it had a roof over the structure held up by four columns. But it was clear that the columns, about halfway up, they were separated. There was a space between all four columns so that the actual roof of the building wasn't actually attached to the foundation. You could kind of see that all of this roof was being suspended by something. It was not, it had a slight move to it because it wasn't really anchored by the foundation. So you could clearly see that they were separated.
They were separated.
There was a white light that came down from above, and then it's almost like it seared each of the columns and completely put them together. Completely connected them. You could see there was a very solid. Now there was no indication that it wasn't like it was patched or welded or anything of that nature. It was it was perfect.
Perfect united.
Yeah.
Become
so then
one.
The roof was then attached now to that foundation.
Well, roof means spiritual covering. I believe some of the relationship, every pillar there actually means each person, the brothers, I believe, so relevant to you guys. So there's some spiritually alignment, you need to work it out, So one of the reasons is because follow mine, I never really emphasize spiritual order, spiritual authority, those kind of things, So I'm trying to be quote humble, but it's sometimes to not necessarily unnecessarily need, So go ahead. So I'm just talking. I think eventually we'll understand apostolic grace is a real thing. So those walking in it, they have a learning curve to go about it, but eventually they have to move into the grace. Then things begin to change around them. So you can only do that when God's proper time. So. I take a lot of time for me to think about those terms because I don't presume myself to be apostle in any tribes. So, but I do know that God began to shift gear. I used to only think God, okay, send me wherever, do whatever, So, preach the gospel, change the nation, stuff like that. I never really engaging seriously with the idea to build a community. I mean, I just don't like church, so myself. So then my understanding of life is everybody, not actually ever from their own, but responsible for their own spiritual existence, So who am I to interfere with everybody, what they want to do with their life, So I don't want to inject any individual life, individual family life per se, So I can help, tag along, whatever, but it's not me to tell them how to run their family life, And everybody got a different idea. Not that me running, but Apostle Grace changed everything, So and change everything about how we develop things, beyond the merely personal spiritual growth. It's spiritual relationships they formed on a certain culture or endowment. There's something alien to us. It's just not common in the Christianity. We sometimes do things, but more of spontaneity, gift realm, doing things together, kind of realm, So we're just stuck it there. But to build a heavenly culture through earthly engagements and the chosen people with generational impartation of blessings, in generational spiritual foundation building, cultural foundation. There's something is quite new, we know revival, we know faithful to young generation, So, but as a chosen people to work together to lay some totally different groundwork for culture, that's seldom happen.